To understand what life will look like for most people in the world who aren't of the billionaire ruling class or their flunkies, the managerial class, we need to look at the programs and initiatives that have been tested and implemented on marginalized people and the poor. Poor communities and people of color have been repeatedly targeted for financialization by cities, municipalities, the state, and corporations. These efforts are achieved by pushing the impoverished into government services supported by third-party preferred providers that supply supplementary benefits in the form of wraparound services that keep people in a perpetual state of poverty. The poor, but especially people in poor Black communities, are financialized further by being pushed into the court system through traffic citations, arrests, and the prison system. This is compounded on punishing people for bad behavior, like crime, but also for what the courts would consider to be antisocial behavior, bad parenting, or substance abuse. These measures perpetuate the stresses of poverty like unstable relationships, poor health, and food insecurity, which in turn result in unequal education, the lack of opportunities for livable wage jobs, and a lack of affordable and livable housing. The situation people find in these conditions are endless: grinding, poverty, low-wage jobs, and deplorable housing conditions. Slumlords who own property certified as Section 8 housing make money from the government and from the tenants who live there without any accountability or an incentive to offer safe, clean, and comfortable housing.
So you see, the war that has been waged on the poor by keeping them poor and marginalized through the court system, through traffic citations, arrests, the prison system, and the services provided through nonprofits and preferred providers will be done to the rest of our society. That's why it's so important to recognize that this is a class war. But not only is it a class war, it's a war on humanity, and we will be rewarded or punished based on our behavior and exploited based on our health. The new normal that everyone refers to is not normal, it's immoral. The new version of yourself will not have you locked in what you would consider a prison cell. Instead, you will be a prisoner of debt and really more of a slave. You will be the capital, the means in which the wealthy investment class make their money. Some of us will make enough through our employment to get by, but will need to go into debt to pay for upgrading our education. This will likely be done through investors loaning you the funds and then taking a percentage of your earnings for a few years until that loan is paid off. But it won't end there. You'll need to continue your education throughout your life, especially if you want to keep your job or get a better one. The cost of working will keep you in debt, and you'll need to keep working to pay off that debt.
And it's a way of packaging people as debt commodities, essentially, using data analytics and predictive analytics to imagine people as a burden on society. It's a deficit model.
Sound familiar? We have a similar situation today in which we are tied to jobs in order to pay off loans for houses or cars or credit cards. But the situation will be much different in the future because in the scenario we're describing, you may pay for that education to keep your job, but that job may not be yours to have. You'll need to compete with others or reapply in order to keep it. And if you lose that job, that too will go on your record. We'll always be on the hook for something. Others of us, although employed, will not earn enough to cover everything and will need programs created through public-private partnerships and the wraparound services that come with those programs. From there, the state, the nonprofits and investors can use your dependence on those programs and services to make more money. Not for you, but for themselves. And it's a never-ending cycle of dependence and growth potential for the industry which feeds on you. However, all of us will be tracked and traced through various technologies that may be wearable devices or on-the-street surveillance via artificial intelligence, geofencing, and facial recognition technology, or even nanotechnology that will be in our own bodies, connecting us to the Internet of Bodies.
I was speaking with someone earlier and they were talking about thingification. That human beings are being turned into things, we're being thingified in essentially a global panopticon, and that our misery is quantified, and then in this amelioration of it, the misery will be reduced somewhat. And in that space in between full-blown misery and slightly reduced misery, the person who funds the solution that reduces the misery gets paid back for their investment if the data shows on a dashboard.
We will be kept track of via blockchain ledgers that record all transactions, all interactions, all movement, all behavior, and all health information. Like people in prison, you will have no privacy. You will be forced into situations in which you have no choice for where you live or what you do for work. Your personal space will be reduced to the minimum. It will be shared with your workspace, and you will have to pay for it.
We can see this with all the tracking technology, the recent mask and distancing mandates, which are designed to train us to behave, and with all the marketing of personal devices and wearable technology. Escape is not possible. The ruling class won't allow any opportunity for their chattel to escape, misbehave, wander away, or stop working. They will party like it's $14.99. The slave trade and prison industry will become one, and we will be the prisoners unless we stop this obedience and stop paying attention to what they tell us to do. We still have an opportunity to stop the war on humanity.
This excerpt of 13 Amended was made possible by our patrons. You can see the entire video essay, 13 Amended, by becoming a patron today. Go to patreon.com/bookofhours. Thank you.